$500 billion, that's how much Apple's planning to invest right here in the U.S.? I mean, that's more than some countries' entire economies.
It is a pretty staggering number.
Yeah, it definitely caught my attention, and I figured it probably caught yours too. So today we're doing a deep dive into what this investment really means. For Apple, for American manufacturing, maybe even for all of us as consumers.
It's a big story with a lot of moving parts, but that's why we're here to break it all down.
Exactly. So to get us started, can you give us the overview? Where's all this money actually going?
Well, Apple's divided it into three main areas. New manufacturing facilities right here in the U.S., a major expansion of their advanced manufacturing fund, and a plan to hire 20,000 new employees.
Wow, 20,000 new jobs. That's huge.
It is, and it really underlines Apple's commitment to U.S.-based operations.
So you mentioned new factories. Does that mean we're going to start seeing Made in America, iPhones and MacBooks?
It's certainly possible. This investment signals a real shift in their manufacturing strategy. For years, Apple, like a lot of tech companies, has relied on overseas manufacturing, especially in Asia. But now they seem to be bringing at least some of that production back home.
I guess that makes sense, especially with all the supply chain problems we've seen lately.
Right, and it'll be interesting to see if this move encourages other companies to rethink their own manufacturing approaches.
Okay, so we've got the new factories and the jobs. What about that advanced manufacturing fund? What's that all about?
This is actually something Apple started a few years ago, but they're doubling down on it with this new investment. It's basically a program that provides funding and support to smaller U.S.-based manufacturers.
So kind of like a venture capital fund, but specifically for manufacturing.
Yeah, exactly. And they're particularly focused on companies developing cutting-edge technologies, things like robotics, AI, advanced materials.
So it's not just about building iPhones. It's about supporting the whole ecosystem of companies that contribute to those products.
Precisely. And that's really where the innovation happens.
Makes sense. But there's one more piece of this puzzle I want to talk about. The new server farm they're building in Texas.
Oh, yeah, the one in Mesa.
What's so special about Texas? Why there?
Well, for one thing, Texas has become a bit of a hub for tech companies in recent ways. But this facility is really all about Apple's AI ambitions.
Ah, yes. Apple Intelligence, their big push into artificial intelligence.
Right. And these aren't just your average servers. We're talking about powerful systems designed specifically to power their new AI tools and platforms. And get this, they're actually starting production of servers later this year in Houston.
Houston. Got it. So what does all this mean for the average iPhone user, like me?
Think about it. AI has the potential to touch almost every aspect of Apple's products. Siri could become way more intelligent and responsive. You might see more personalized features and recommendations. And who knows, maybe we'll even see breakthroughs in areas like healthcare or augmented reality.
Okay, that's pretty cool. But hold on a sec. This whole thing is happening against a pretty complex backdrop, right? Trade wars, political pressure, all that stuff.
Absolutely. We can't ignore the geopolitical context here. Remember when President Trump was publicly pushing for Apple to move manufacturing to U.S.?
And saying things like companies don't want to be in the tariffs.
Exactly. And those tariffs on Chinese goods definitely added some fuel to the fire.
Not to mention Cook's visits to Mar-a-Lago on that post-election post on X about working with the administration. And then Trump thanked Cook and Apple for their investment on Truth Social, saying it was based on faith in what we are doing.
Right. So it's hard to say for sure how much political pressure played a role in Apple's decision, but it was definitely a factor.
Yeah. It seems like this whole investment is kind of a mix of things. Apple's own business goals, the changing global landscape, and maybe a little bit of political maneuvering too.
That sounds about right.
Okay, but let's get back to something you mentioned earlier. American innovation. What does that actually mean in this context?
That's a great question. And honestly, I think it's a bit more complicated than just saying that something made in America is automatically innovative.
It's definitely not as simple as slapping a Made in America sticker on a product.
Right. Apple, even with this investment, still relies on a global network of suppliers and engineers. Innovation isn't confined by national borders.
Yeah, it's more about creating an environment where innovation can thrive. And that means investing in education, research, infrastructure, and attracting top talent from all over the world.
Exactly. It's about building a whole ecosystem.
So this $500 billion investment, it's a big bet on America, but it's really just one step in a